In this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps that I take to get my businesses set up legally. Now, I will say in this video especially, nothing in this video is legal advice, and you should absolutely consult professionals, whether it's lawyers, accountants, insurance agents, and I will call that out throughout the video. For this video specifically, I am going to focus on my businesses that I've set up in the crypto space, but my whole goal is to shorten up your learning curve and help you avoid some of the obstacles that I came up on when I was setting up my very first business. So this is what I'll be covering in the video. Number one, I'll walk you through how to register your LLC. Number two is getting your employer identification number, or your EIN. Third, I'll talk about 1099 agreements, followed by how I track my expenses. Next is getting your bank account set up, which in the crypto space, I found more challenging than I expected. And lastly, I'm gonna talk about insurance for your business. So number one, setting up your LLC. First, you need to go to your state website. Make sure it is your actual state website. And some states will allow you to do a series LLC. I do have that for my real estate business, but for my businesses in the DePIN space and in crypto, I do separate LLCs for each one. Now, a couple of things when you're registering, there is a section where it's going to ask you about a registered agent. Now, I don't know about all states, but in Illinois, you can absolutely be your own registered agent. You just have to have an address that resides in the state that you're registering, and you need to be available during normal business hours. But it is worth noting that your address will be visible in different databases, so something to keep in mind there. And you will want to set up an email address for your business. I generally wait until I get into this process so that I know that the LLC name that I'm looking to register is not taken already. And the other thing I'll say is mark in your calendar. I generally go back 30 days to set up a reminder. You'll need to renew your LLC to keep it in good standing with the state. Now, they will send you mailers, but I like to mark in my calendar just to remember and keep everything straight. I will say the reason why you want to consult a lawyer is because these different reporting requirements change from year to year. And I know like in 2025, for example, there's new reporting requirements coming out for LLCs. So you really want to stay on top of this stuff. You really need to rely on professionals that live and breathe this stuff every day, because no matter how resourceful you are, it is really hard to stay on top of all this stuff. And lastly, you will start to get a lot of mail, especially from scammers that are trying to charge you for all these different things, saying that you need it for your business. So just be really careful when you first set up your LLC, and be on the lookout for that stuff. The next thing you want to do is get your EIN, or your employer identification number. Now, something to be aware of here, there's a lot of websites that are going to say, well, we'll get your EIN for you for $50 or $100. It is free, and it takes like 5 minutes. So don't fall for that. Don't pay for your EIN. But essentially, you're going to put in all the information that you use to register your LLC. It's a pretty straightforward process. There are some questions in there like, are you going to pay in quarterly taxes? These are things that I would ask your accountant about. But if you are going to be bringing a lot of revenue in your business, it's probably not a bad idea to pay quarterly taxes. And the last thing I'll say about this is when you get that final confirmation, save that PDF, file it away. Do not lose your EIN, because it's not like you can just go to the IRS website and look up your EIN. You are going to have to call the IRS. And I don't know if you've ever had to call the IRS before, but talk about wanting to pull your hair out. Your call gets dropped like several times, and you finally get a hold of someone and you have to wait like 2 hours for your EIN. Like, are you kidding me? So I've heard from a friend, not from like personal experience or anything. Do not lose your EIN. 1099 agreements. So like, there's a lot of templates online. It can be pretty straightforward. I would definitely recommend talking to a lawyer about this and running it by them. But my agreements are pretty straightforward. It's just specifying what the token splits are, that I'm paying for the equipment, they agree to map. You can have like a 10-day period for either party to terminate the contract. And I do have in mind, if the host is going to get their own equipment, they give me 30 days notice. So I have time to place it with another driver, another host, depending on the business. But you can really structure it however you want. And I use DocuSign to send these things. But again, just consult your lawyer about it. And you don't have to do this, but it is a good idea to have something in place here. And if you're paying for a service like DocuSign, that is an expense for your business. And actually, this is the next thing I'm going to talk about. Tracking expenses. By setting up an LLC, there are a lot of expenses that are tax deductible. And to that end, I would say get a really good accountant. Even if they charge a substantial amount of money, in my experience, it is absolutely worth it. But all your costs for mining equipment, including a lot of other costs, can really save you at tax time. So get a good accountant. I use QuickBooks to track all of my expenses. Depending on how big you're planning on scaling your business, maybe you don't need software, but I have found that QuickBooks is pretty easy to use. And again, get a really good accountant, because it does get a little bit complicated. That said, there's a lot of good tax software out there for crypto, because everything is on the blockchain, so everything is documented. But you definitely want to keep everything above board, so this is really important. The next thing is setting up a bank account. Man, this was more difficult than I expected. I had to go to like 4 different banks because once they realized that my business was dealing with crypto, pretty much all the major banks turned me away. And I've had people say like, well, why'd you tell me you have a crypto company? But here's the deal. I'd rather get ahead of this and be upfront about what my business is doing, because the last thing I'd want to deal with is like trying to pull money out and all of a sudden my assets are frozen. Like that sounds like zero fun. So I got ahead of it. I was actually able to get a bank account set up with a smaller regional bank. So you might have more luck going regional, smaller banks over some of the larger banks. Next thing is I'd recommend getting a business credit card, because while you can use personal funds for like setup costs for your business, you really want to get all of your assets and everything separated under that LLC as quickly as possible. And that's including your crypto wallets. Like I have multiple crypto wallets for every single business that are designated to that business. You know, you're gonna have one that's more transactional. You might be receiving payments, sending payments out of. I move all of my assets over to a holding wallet though. It's not a bad idea to have it in cold storage and possibly even have like a safety deposit box at a bank to store the vast majority of your assets in, because you could become a target if you start amassing a lot of money. But it's really, really critical that you keep all of your assets for each business separate, because otherwise you can do what's called piercing the corporate veil. And then you lose all of your protection of having an LLC. So the sooner you can isolate all your expenses and everything for your business under one umbrella, the better off you're going to be. And that brings me to my last point, which is insurance. So I would highly recommend talking to your lawyer, reaching out to insurance agents, and getting some sort of a policy for your business. But it's always just a good idea to be covered. I mean, you're putting in a lot of work to get this stuff set up and to build out your business and everything. So you can never have too much insurance. And that is how I set up my business. Everything from registering your LLC to getting your employer identification number, getting your 1099 agreement set up, tracking your expenses, keeping your assets separate with different bank accounts and your crypto wallets, as well as getting insurance for your business. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Please do like, comment, and subscribe below. As always, I appreciate your viewership. Signing off, this is Bradley Meyer with the DePIN Connection.